Hey, Zakia. How are you, Zakia? Are you above us? Zakia, can you hear me? Zakia, you there?
Can you hear me now? Yep.
That's it. All
Hey,
right.
hey.
Hey, we're gonna walk through the Hi, Sheridan.
Hold on, let me close my door. Cut out background noise and turn my camera on.
Bear with me. I'm gonna walk away from the computer. I can still hear you. We can still talk. I just gotta get my notes.
Okay.
We're gonna go with the first person, and then you're gonna wrap us up.
Got it. How long is the entire meeting?
We're trying to go 1 hour. We don't have to, but we're trying.
Okay.
This is,
But sometimes it can be under an hour. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, it's usually 48 minutes. How are you, Sheridan? And here comes Corey. Mr. Clark. How are you, Mr. Clark? Hi there, look at you. Mr. Clark.
I am here, Terry. How are you?
I can't complain. I was telling them I'm going to be moving around a little bit to get some notes out, but we're almost ready. We got about 7 minutes plus another 7 waiting for everybody to sign in.
Okay.
I'm hoping April's going to sign in because we got thunderstorms in this city. If I lose power, she's going to have to take over in New York.
Ah.
I've already lost power twice.
Uh-oh.
Are you doing okay?
Doing great, doing great.
It's Sunday.
That's what I hear. That's what they say.
Everybody, now this is a happy hour, so I hope y'all hold up y'all's drinks when we get ready to hold them up.
Oh. I think I should grab a drink or something. So we need to get a drink?
Yeah, that's right. This is happy hour. I'm gonna get my bottle out of the refrigerator right now.
Listen, you ain't got to tell me twice. I'll be back.
Yes, good.
All right, all right, all right.
That's right. Get ready. Let me come back over there. The weather doesn't know where you're
Zakia, how are you?
Corey, I am great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Did I pronounce your name right, Zakia?
You sure did. Zakia, yep.
Got
Great job, because you can imagine I get called all kinds of things. As long as it resembles, I'll answer to it.
I give you a little secret here. I was just in a t-shirt until I saw how you was all dressed up. So exactly. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
You know what, Corey? We are here for each other, so I appreciate you for the quick wardrobe change. The Clark Kent into Superman phone booth action.
My wife was looking at me like, what the heck are you doing? It's like, don't worry about it right now. I'll explain it later.
He's like, I didn't know we had an office dress code, babe. I'm sorry.
So is this your first time joining this meeting?
It is. It is.
Okay. So what do you do?
Strategic communications with an emphasis in brand strategy. So, I mean, PR, but my whole thing is helping brands to grow beyond their current audience. So
Okay.
yes, I help them get visibility. Yes, but my thing is the strategy. What do you want to do in 3 years? How do we start to put those breadcrumbs down? So that's what I get excited about. That's what
So
I
you
do.
so you have your own consultant company or you work for a
I
company?
do. Yeah, Quest Media Training is my consulting firm. And
Okay.
so we do that brand elevation, media coaching,
Uh,
crisis mitigation.
okay. Very, very nice. I
Mm.
like that.
What do you do?
So I am a senior manager at Toyota.
I knew that.
I work with our group is called Social Innovation. So we partner a lot with the community, and just foster that whole community thing. We sponsor a lot of events, partner with some projects. Right now, one of our projects is we're partnering with SMU and Dallas ISD over in West
Hmm.
Dallas to foster STEM related focus in that area. So there's a school going up
Nice.
there. Dallas ISD obviously is building the school, but we provided a grant to SMU to come up with the curriculum that would be established in that school. So things like that is what I typically do. So I manage a team of operations where we take care of the budget and we deploy new systems, and I get all the boring stuff, not the heartfelt stuff like the rest of the group. But it supports the rest of the group, so I'm here for them.
Absolutely. And actually, that sounds really interesting to me because I can be very cerebral. So it's not boring to me. I'm like, what? Logistics? In elementary school, they were like, nerd. But
That's
yeah, so then,
that's the world I live in, nerd worlds. We were actually getting ready to deploy a project management system
okay.
before COVID-19 hit, so we had to pull
Ooh,
back on that. Yeah, it was going to be the first of its kind too. So things like
very cool.
yeah.
So then, Corey, when you do your work alliances, et cetera, with the community, is your focus local or do you have a certain territory? Is it regional, national?
The mantra is usually wherever Toyota does its business. And so we have 15 manufacturing locations across the United States.
Okay.
And then we have, I think, 1,270 Toyota dealerships and 463, don't quote me on the numbers, Lexus dealerships spread out across the United States. And then we have call centers and regional offices. So it pretty much runs the gamut across the United States, and we support any of those communities anywhere. So
Gotcha. What are some of your favorite types of projects to support?
mentoring, 100%. 100%. We do a lot of mentoring. I mean, a lot of mentoring. But mainly that mentoring is to build what we call a pathway, if you will,
Gotcha.
because we want to try to guide, especially young Black ladies such as yourself who are like the logic piece of it. We need more of those, to be honest with you, and we need more African Americans, period, in this workspace. It's just not enough of us.
Okay, you guys, we got people signing in now, so this is how we're going to go. I'm going to introduce what we're doing and why we have a happy hour. And I'm also going to start off with talking about a little brief bio because I'm going to read your bios as I go. And then we're going to have Corey do give his 12, 15 minutes in question Q&A. And then I'm going to bring up some announcements about NABJ and then introduce Zakia, and we're going to focus primarily on the reversal of fortune, I call that COVID-19 has called most of us PR practitioners. And just as Corey was doing, he's going to focus on the opportunity of mentoring. I think in the virtual space, we begin to create imprints that make us far greater than what we were. And it's a more lasting imprint when I can find your space and look at it at my leisure. And it's a better mentoring opportunity than if I met you and now I got to wait to have an appointment to see you again or beg to be in your face when you can just look at those at all times. That makes sense? Everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start letting all these people in that are on the side. Y'all looking too good. We got 7 people waiting, so I'm trying to figure out how to let them all in because I don't have my backup here. It's just gonna be me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, they're coming in as we go. Hey, Larry. Mr. Lundy, how are you? Kim?
Good. How you doing?
I can't complain. It's your world. You know that. All right. As we get these people coming in, I'm admitting them as we come. Hi, Kim. All right. Here we go. How are you, Kim? Oh, boy. They're coming in fast and furious. We do need a navigator, but my navigator's sick.
That's you, right?
No, it's always other people, but I can handle it. So everybody gets to unmute and be very informal. Remember, this is a happy hour. I have my drinks of choice, so you guys should have yours. So I'm gonna let these in. You guys could, it's okay for you guys to say hello. Y'all act like you don't know each other. Come on. Be right back.
Hey, y'all.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
We're all waiting for the Michael Jordan show to come on.
Yeah, that's right. The Bulls. It's a 10-part series, right?
Yeah, so I think it's just everyone's anxiously awaiting that show this evening.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, this is our happy hour. Hope everybody's doing well and you're signing in from all over. We got a lot of people waiting, but we're gonna be on time, and I figured in 4 more minutes we're gonna get started. I hope that you guys got the bottles that I sent you in the mail. You got them?
Darn, mine hasn't come
I'm
yet.
gonna go get some Gatorade.
What'd you say, Sharon? This
Going
is
to go get. Can you hear me?
yeah, I
Yes.
hear
I'm going to go get some Gatorade
you.
while you wait your 4 minutes, and just like enlighten up
We
my
have people
screen.
coming in. There's a lot of people coming. Oh, look at that. There's a lot of people.
Find a light.
But actually, y'all, this is just sparkling grape soda. I'm not a drinker, but I do believe in happy hour, and this is why we created this. This is our role of sanity. I didn't think that this new normal would be a new normal, but it is a new normal. And so this is it. What you got there, Larry? I saw that.
Did you want my Ozarka or what do you want?
I didn't see her. That was not our Zorka. That didn't look like our Zorka to me, man.
Well, I have both because with you, Terry, it's in honor of you. You know, you're the most interesting man in NABJ. So I don't drink beer often, but when I do, it's for you.
I am lit up here. I'm lit up, as you can see. All right, so everybody come on the board, and let's get in here. We got, I love it. The waiting room is full. People are coming in as we go. We're going to get started with our speakers. If you guys have something you want to share at your screens, Akia and Clary will let you know, but I'm just holding up this drink to remind people that we have a happy hour. Hey, Benate.
Hello.
Good to see
Hey.
you.
Do you want to guess what's in here?
Yeah, what you got in there?
It's not water.
I just want to say, Sheridan, that didn't look like Gatorade.
No, I have some wine, and I decided that if you guys are going to have cocktails, I might as well have a little communion.
Cheers.
Just cheers to all of us who are surviving COVID-19. Let's get started.
Right.
I'm Terry Allen. I'm on the board of directors of the NABJ. My role is to be representative of the media-related board members. And we're going to talk about a lot of things right now, but I did get about 75 million emails saying we don't see you on the roster for candidacy for next year. I will be sending out an email explaining you guys that, but during the COVID-19 shutdown, we just didn't have access to get to the system, and we were not there in time for the deadline. So we're working with that, but I'm still a representative. I'm still a board member, and I'm still working. So we got a whole lot of things planned. We want to celebrate the fact that some of us have gotten some great jobs. I do appreciate the fact that people reach out to me personally saying what they were looking for, and I was able to connect the dots. One of the greatest things we can celebrate, I think Karen's here. Karen pulled in quite a coup that focuses on COVID-19 and the supplying of food across the nation, and has come up with a very national initiative and was hired as a long-term contractor. We also have 3 or 4 others they signed in that were signed on to become marshals in the development of the Paycheck Protection Program. There were some people marketing the stay-at-home youth training. And by the way, I want to let you know that our seminar that was done with April Turner, Michelle Smith, and Neil Foote was turned into a curriculum by 5 of the NABJ educators. And I also downloaded the curriculum to me. And I've also put it on, I'm gonna put it on the site, but we were very happy to see that the webinar developed curriculum because everybody was switching to online. And so, like I said, again, welcome to this new normal. Carmina, it's good to see you too as well. Pamela, Pam, you there? I see you.
Yeah, I'm here.
What you drinking? I don't see your face.
I know. There's a reason for that.
Okay, then. Here, cheers to Pam. Cheers to you, Pam, right there. Cheers to you right there. And so, and it's good to see Kim. Kim and Michelle. Kim is from the state that knew what to do in the first place. Y'all got it.
Right. That's right.
Y'all got it right. Congratulations. You have flat.
That's right, Panay.
I know your curve is flattened, and I appreciate it. Michelle, thank you. You're from that state too.
Yeah.
Here's a cheers to you guys. Thank you to your governors for fighting up, standing up, and telling us how to do this, because people are talking about opening up for business this week. That kind of.
I know, it's crazy in Texas.
Yeah.
Let's give real props to London Breed, right,
That's our
Kim?
girl. Yeah, she's
London
great.
Breed. Yes.
I'm holding up my drink for them. We did good.
She's doing really well and good exposure for her
Yes.
country.
Hey Kim,
Yeah.
I did notice that y'all had a front yard social distancing meeting amongst your neighbors last month.
Yeah, well, no, every Friday at 5 we do it. We do it. Yeah, it's good. I mean, we stay far away, but it's good. It's something to look forward to and get dressed up for. Well, when I say dressed up, lipstick.
Lipstick and pants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I recognize that lipstick does help you dress up. There you go.
Yep. Even for this.
We're sending you a bottle, and thank you for having us stay to get it right. Michelle, that's your statement.
Yeah.
Are you there?
I am here. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I am mute. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not in the best of looking. I know no one is, but I'm just kind of hidden behind my picture, which looks better than I do right now. So I'll keep that up there for today.
You got one of those Pam Purifier excuses. I hear you.
At least she has up a picture. I have to figure out how to do that.
My glass to you. Boom, boom, boom. So let me
Go
just
into your preferences, and you should be able to add it, your photo.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go, Pam. And you also can do some of the fantastic backgrounds that Kim and she's already in the Bay Area. So
I'm in Oakland. That's for Benet, that picture.
Beautiful.
That's Mary Lake, right?
Lake Mary.
Lake Mary. Yeah, I used to live on Oakland Avenue in 8th Street, right there at the corner.
Yeah.
Oh.
They said I had a lake. They had a lake view. I had to go into the kitchen, stand behind the refrigerator, and look out the window, and there was my lake. I love that block. It's so hilly, and we don't have hills in Texas. If we do, it's a bridge. So anyway, let's get started, y'all. I just wanted to keep this dialogue going. Give a shout out to our media relations professional award winner, Ron Carter.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron. Fred.
Ron is also from that wonderful state of California. And Manny, you're down there in the Inland Empire, right? Or the Valley. California got it right. Y'all need to teach everybody else how to get it right.
I'm telling you.
All right, so I'm going to get started, but I just want to announce this is the fourth. We have 5 more happy hours to go. 3 happy hours to go, and this is the third one. The first one was on creating a virtual space for PR practitioners and how we got that done. There was so much shared, and it's on demand. If you haven't seen it, please look at it and send me some feedback on it. The second one we did was on coping and how we dealt with what we could do
in a place where I didn't know there were more.
With networking. So if you can do me a favor real quick, except for Corey and Kia, Corey first, but the rest of you, could you just hit mute and you can come in as you want to, okay? And so the second one we did with Ron Carter, and did a fantastic job about creating virtual meetings and keeping the power that we have in the system and how well that worked. And we had a fantastic celebration of people connecting to other people and creating opportunities of revenue for us. And from that meeting, we discovered that we were wondering where is the revenue? What do we do next? And that's why we have these 2 fantastic people that are part of my wheelhouse at all times. Zakia is my 3 a.m. email person. She's also the person I call when we want to pull together different personalities, different organizations, and put them at the same table, have a group of people on there. And Corey's, I got a chance to read Corey's book that's coming out, and we're in the same city. We start connecting on mentoring, and now we're part of a partnership and a collaboration. So that being said, Corey is a senior manager at Toyota Motor Company, and he's over the Social Innovation Group. You remember that? You remember social innovation weren't words 5 years ago, but that's okay, we got it now. Now, Corey's been with Toyota for a while, is that right?
10 years.
10 years, that's what I got. This here says 5, but it was dated back 5 years ago. There we go. So Corey's very active in mentoring, but he's also active in employee engagements, and I'll let him talk about it as I start questioning him. But he says he takes Toyota wherever their customers land. So I see all the hands raised, all these Toyota drivers on the stage right there. Every one of y'all got a Toyota, right? That's good. So Corey, I'm going to start off with you, and here's what I'm going to ask you. Corey, working virtual used to be an added value to our job. It used to be something we did on the side, something that we did extra. It was an added value to our productivity, but during this pandemic, it is now what everybody's labeling the new normal. Can you share with us the tips for the team on both the good, the bad, and the ugly of virtually working? It's your turn.
All right. Thank you, Terry, for inviting me into this happy hour. I have my drink. It's water, but I have a drink. Thank you, everybody, for welcoming me in. So unfortunately, Toyota and my professional history, we didn't work so much virtually. So this is new space to us. If you can think about the manufacturing world, we have to be face to face. We have to be in these meetings together, solving problems. So when COVID-19 actually hit us, it was actually helter-skelter. Now, we did some work from home every other Friday or something like that, but it wasn't to the magnitude in which we're seeing now. And so on the other side of that COVID-19, the physical distancing, I call it physical distancing. I don't like to call it social distancing because I think, Terry, what you're doing now is social, and I like this, but physically we're distancing ourselves. Once that hit, it did look quite different for us. From a good perspective for us, though, actually we became more productive, and I think you mentioned that already, Terry, but we actually are more focused on what we're doing, and not so many interruptions. And in our world, it's an open environment, so anyone can walk up to you at any time, ask you a question, and draw your attention away from where you are working. So for us, I've seen my team actually improve dramatically in the productivity and the efficiency. On the bad side, though, and this is the biggest thing, and one of the reasons why we do have that open environment, though, is for the face-to-face interaction and that teamwork and that collaboration focus. And we lost a lot of that. So we have to do special things to keep that going. So twice a week we meet to do just what you're doing, Terry, which is we just have a social hour where we're talking with each other, not really talking about work, just to keep that rapport. So, even though we're not in front of each other, we try to do that quite a bit. And to me, that's one of the bad things, because when I'm coaching or I'm trying to develop someone, it's a little more difficult when you can't sit across from that person and read their body language. And so for me, that would be a takeaway from this whole virtual workspace.
So what have you discovered that's good? Because I'm gonna ask you the bad myself. And those of you who just joined us, please make sure you put your questions on the side over there, and we'll be able to ask them. And we may even let you unmute and ask the question yourself. But what are the good things about this? Because like I said in the beginning, this used to be an added value to our productivity. Now it's a new normal. And I hate to use the overused term new normal, but right now the virtual space is crowded. I can't open up an email telling somebody they're gonna have a virtual meeting. Can I join? So what's good for you?
For me, though, I think it's good because for my team, it allows them to focus more, Terry. They are more efficient. I mean, they're churning out work and at a higher quality because couple things. One, they're comfortable in their offices. You know, like me, I'll turn on my wax warmer and, you know, get the place where I needed to be. And, you know, I just churn out work. So it's more efficient. That's a good thing to me, for me.
Let me ask you something, because what gets me is this. I have a lot of clients like churches, and convincing them to go virtual was almost, I'd have to call in the FBI as subcontractors to make that work for a lot of my clients. Toyota, it's like me at FedEx. Although I work in communications, I work in crisis communication, I work in product launching and all these other things. Our end result is the company has to put packages on the belt, which is a people experience. And driving a car is a people experience. How is that affecting your social innovation project or management?
For social innovation, it's not a huge impact. The impact is more around the collaboration piece. And we have tools, and I can share some of the tools that we use for the collaboration piece. Luckily, though, social innovation and the Toyota space is one that can be performed in a virtual manner. But now, if you take the engineers, obviously, to your point, those people need to be there. And Toyota is having some impact on that for sure, having some impact from that for sure. But yeah. And so,
we got our first question from the queue, so I'm going to drink to this next question. Now, I'm going to tell you now that sometimes I have to ask myself what day it is since I've been in my house for 28 days. I have to check and see, is this, and Sunday's a busy day for me because of all the churches I work with and because of my own faith. And so sometimes I have to ask myself what day it is. And this question comes from Brene Wilson. What have you done to separate work hours from home hours? Because the blend is crazy. And she said, I say that as a person who has worked from home since 2014. So she's an at-home expert. She probably has better drinks than this. Yeah. But that question is from Brene. So how do you separate work hours from home hours?
Thank you, Brene. I turn my computer off at 5 o'clock every day. I get into my office at 7 a.m. and I turn my computer off at 5 p.m. every day. And I make it a habit to do that because I do have a younger son. He's really into a lot of extracurricular things, and you know, it's important for me to be there doing that for him. Now, I do carry my phone around with me just in case I have an emergency, but for the most part, I shut down. I sign off as if I'm leaving the office every day. The first couple of weeks though, Brene, it was difficult because I was one of the ones that didn't work from home so much. And a lot of the times in the first 3 weeks, my day bled into like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because I was comfortable. I was in the zone. No one was interrupting me. But I had to pay attention to my family, and you know, they kept peeking in this glass door right here looking to see if I was done yet. So I had to make effort to shut my computer down at 5 o'clock every day and just send a quick email to the team and say, hey, I'm signing off, and they would do the same.
Well, this is great. So here's another question I have you. What you talked about tools earlier. I'm working with clients that thought Zoom was part of a song, and now that they know it's a software, what tools are good for us? What are some of the hottest tools? I'm still trying to master TikTok. I think that's an age demographic thing, but I'm gonna have a TikTok up just for Larry next month. I'm doing one just for the sports industry. But what are the tools that we can manage?
Especially if you're talking about collaboration, the best one out right now, it's similar to Slack, but it's called, if you are a customer of Office 365, Microsoft Office 365, they have a tool there called Teams. And Teams will allow you to bucket projects into groups. And that's like a catch-all. I put together a couple slides to kind of show you what it is if you wanted me to do that.
Yeah, okay, then you're trying to test my skill set on Zoom, aren't you? Yeah, we can look at it, man.
I think I can do it from here.
All right. Well, let's work and make it work for me.
Let me know if you can see it.
You guys got that screen? Or is it just me?
Can you all see it?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
we can see it.
Okay, we see it. Microsoft Teams is has been made mandatory here at FedEx.
Oh yeah. So how many of you are familiar with Teams?
I've
never used it.
I'm drinking Teams. I use it all the time.
It's the best thing since sliced bread for me, especially from this virtual workspace. because, and I can't show you anything proprietary to Toyota and what we're working on, but I did grab a couple of screenshots so I can walk you through it. But Teams, it will allow you to basically create these, what is called teams. You can have groups of people working on several different projects, which are called teams. And you can do everything from manage a calendar together. What I really like is this tool that's inside a team called Planner. Have anybody ever heard of Planner? P-L-A-N-N-E-R, Planner.
No.
So it's like a project management tool. They call it a Kanban tool, but the way you kind of think about this is think about it as having a lot of sticky notes. Okay, you know, you write sticky notes as reminders and you put it up on your screen or on your desk somewhere. Well, this tool is similar to that, where all of these boxes here are sticky notes. The difference though is it'll allow you to assign that sticky note to somebody on your team.
I like that
as
part.
a task to do. So it's like a to-do list. And then what I do though is once I manage that all out to my team, there's another screen that will take you and show you how many of those tasks are complete and then how many of them are delayed. And so all of this is in Teams. You can also video chat and instant message right in Teams. So everything that you need to do to run a business is inside Teams. And if you've ever worked with Teams, you know that the number of programs that you can actually dock into Teams is unlimited. I mean, you won't run out of them. That little plus sign that I'm circling, you can just add as many as you want. Planner would be one of those additional softwares that you can plug right into Teams. So this is what we use. We made this mandatory. We've actually done away with Skype for Business. Everyone is on this, and this is 100% what we're doing. And this, Terry, you was mentioning earlier, is basically the saving grace for us, because this is like we never left the office other than that face-to-face interaction.
Well, I got a question for you. Now, Teams is virtually wherever my inbox is. So if I'm working from my house, I will virtually be able to read. If you send me something at 3 p.m., I may be able to read it 4 a.m. in the morning during my power drive. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so the notes, the messages, they stay in Teams. You can go and recall them anytime you want to. You can look at the history anytime you want to.
Oh, okay. All right. And what is this a separate package from the Microsoft Office family, or is this a new feature?
This is a new feature. So they've been working out the kinks for the last 2 years. They finally got it right though, and it's ready now. And I'll tell you right now, we have one for my house, a personal account for my house, and Teams come with it.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Well, we'll release the screen. Let me admit all these.
I have a question.
Question? Go ahead. Who's that?
Sheridan.
All right. On these questions, everybody, make sure you let us know who you are. You
okay. This
no
is
long,
Sheridan.
just less than 10 seconds. So go ahead.
Okay. It's a short question. I use a Mac, Corey.
Yep.
And the system changed in 2019. We no longer access our synced apps like device to device. You know, you open one device and you can move on to the next device. All of your programs are synced from screen to screen, device to device. Okay, so I asked Apple, why could I not access my Excel, my PowerPoint, my Word, etc.? And they said, well, the new system, which is 365, you must subscribe to 365 in order to do that kind of productivity. But you can do it in Pages now. You don't subscribe to 365. I don't need 365. I have so many programs already that update themselves. So you can work in Pages if you have that app without going to 365. 365 is like what, $69.99 a year or a monthly $19.99 or something like that. But I just wanted to bring that home, that even if you don't subscribe to Office 365, you can perform the same task in Pages.
Oh, okay. That's a good plot. We want to make sure we stay on time here. Thank you for that question. Anybody else have a question for him on Teams?
Hey, Terry, this is Tony. I just have a quick question. I just wanted to ask, Hey, I just want to ask Corey, you said that Toyota went to that. Is that because, is it more secure than Skype and in particular Zoom? Because I know Zoom has been having issues with security. Do you find it to be a lot more secure in your environment?
Spot on, Tony. It was, I think, Tony.
Good question, Tony. I'm drinking there.
Very good question,
Yes.
Tony, and you're absolutely right. Because we use Teams to collaborate with external partners as well. What Teams is actually it's just basically a face mask. It really sits on top of a SharePoint foundation, basically. And as you know, SharePoint is extremely secure, and so Toyota prefers that method. Now, for Skype for Business and the partnership we have with Microsoft, it was pretty secure. It just wasn't a collaboration tool, Tony. That was the difference for us. And so Teams takes us into more of that collaboration space, and it is more secure because it's sitting on SharePoint. And we invite outside external partners into that space to work on it, but they can only see that team that they're on. So to your point, it is more secure.
Great. Anybody else have a question? Well,
this is Manny Otico. I have a question.
Hey, Manny.
Yeah, I just wanted, actually, it's more of a statement than a question, but I wanted to just acknowledge the earlier point made that, I've read several articles that said actually people who work from home are more productive than people who work in the office. And I've been working from home for about 5 years. And one of the reasons why is that when you work from home, you don't get the interruptions of people wandering into your office to kind of discuss office call chat. So you get very focused on what you're doing. So I can testify that there's some truth to that.
Manny, on top of that, think about this. My transit to work every day was about 35 minutes. And bumper to bumper. That's frustrating. As soon as I get in the office, I got to decompress and get ready for something. So all of that stuff. Now I just get up, I do my normal thing where I sort of get dressed for work, come into my office, and I'm ready to work. So I'm a whole lot more relaxed, a whole lot more focused. I agree with you. It's a big difference for sure.
Okay, then. Thank you. I got two questions. I want to start with you. This one's coming from my partner in crime and one of my best mentors, Larry Lundy. It looks like you made your transition with internal communications, but since you work at external partnerships, how does that affect your process?
Okay, if I understand correctly, how are we continuing to communicate with our external partnerships?
Yeah, because you guys have been really involved in the community, you and Al Smith and Emmett Smith events. Everything. So you guys, with other groups trying to engage with you, how does that affected your, effectiveness?
Yeah, by the way, Al is like a big brother to me. He's one of my first mentors on campus. So the way that social innovation is set up, Larry, we have several different functional groups. My team takes care of all of the operations, the budget, the systems, etc. We do have a dedicated team called Strategic Partnerships, and that team is about 20 people. And they continue the discussion. If you think about it, though, working in the office versus working at home wouldn't interrupt that communication because it's a phone call, it's a visit, right? Now we can't visit them, but we can call them all day. And because we have things like Teams and, we have what we call, I'm giving you a little Toyota history here, but we have what we call OBEA meetings where we invite everybody that's on the project into a meeting and we go around and do like a status check. We can do that virtually very easy, right? So it hasn't been interrupted for the most part. If I had to say anything, it's actually increased because the community is who needs the help most at the time like this, right? And so as we are redirecting how we manage our relationships in the community, most of it's based off on COVID response. And so that communication actually has increased.
Well, I can attest to the fact that people think that someone says, we're working from home, let's have a meeting tomorrow. Working in this ministry and working with PR practitioners, there's no extra time. It's boosted up. Crisis is our time, and crisis is what we do. And this is a pandemic, this is a crisis. It's getting so that I don't have, I concur with Benet, I don't have a day off. I have to force myself to create that break so that I can go around and just say, let me go to the kitchen and get something to eat. Let me call and check on my mom. Those are things I personally have to do. Somebody may have to call and check on someone else. But last question for you. In our organization, mentoring is a must do. Yet there are so many paths of what mentoring it takes on and shapes on. And one of the strongest, our weakest link is our mentoring at the same time as our strongest link. If I didn't have people like Don Roberts and Michelle, Kimberly Bardekian, Renee, all these people here on this list here, Larry, Misty, if these people weren't in my life as informal mentors, I wouldn't be able to move the needle in my representation of media-related people on the board. So what are some of the best practices to gain and keep a mentor?
So some of the things that I pay attention to, and you know, as I mentioned, Al's one of my first mentors, and I have what they call a board of directors, if you will. And I don't go to the same person every time for the issues. It depends on what that topic is. One of the things though that I've committed to is I don't like to waste their time. And so what I mean by that is I go with a purpose in mind or a cause, and I don't just ask for mentorship. For example, if I want to get exposure in sales, I go to a specific person and I explain to them my career trajectory and my aspirations. And then from there, I ask that person, will you help me develop this gap? And so I go to them with the purpose, right? And instead of just saying, hey, I don't know where my career is going, can you help me out? So that's number one. I have three things that I really marry to. That's the first thing is I always go with the purpose and a sort of a map, a direction, if you will. The second thing is I try to have a gap between myself and an age gap between myself and who's mentoring me. The reason why, I listen and learn from everyone, right? But, you know, 10 to 20 years, I really want someone in that space who can really have been there, done that, and can kind of guide me a little bit better. Now, I'm going to learn from my friends. But I really want someone who is wise beyond their years and can guide me well. And then the last thing is because I don't like to waste people's time, I always take like a homework item away for me to develop. And I always would like to come back with that homework item to show that person mentoring me. So I write down a lot of notes, and then I always confirm, you know, I think I can grow in this area. And that's a homework item for me. My board of directors at, you know, just in general, I probably have 10 to 12 people that I would call mentors. And, you know, it depends on what the case is. I go to them for that. And they don't all look like me, by the way. I need that diversity and that perspective, that 360 perspective. So they don't always look like me. So those three things is what I'm married to. And anyone that I mentor that comes to me and asks me to mentor them, I usually direct them in that way as well.
For sharing. Thank you for sharing, sir. You're going to stay with us. Is this correct?
Yes.
All right, good. Glad that you had all these answers today, Corey, and welcome to the family. And I just want to share with you guys how powerful we are as people. Corey and I had a conversation, was it 2 nights ago? And we began to share our mentoring process and how we help young people and what the key factor was. We're supposed to be in a 10-minute conversation. I think it was 2 hours later that we finally got off the phone.
Yeah.
So mentoring is very important for all of us. And I need you guys to go to our Facebook pages and check into the mentoring part. We've had 6 people request mentoring, but we have not had anyone sign up and say, I'd love to be a mentor. So if you can go to our media-related place and put the mentoring process in there. And mentoring can be anything across the board, anywhere from redoing a resume to connecting the dots to someone to call someone or writing a recommendation. Some of the things I'd like all of us to do is to find our LinkedIn pages. I found, and I hope he doesn't mind me calling him out, but I found Tony's page the other day and I just endorsed everything he said he could do well because I know he could, right? So then he sends me an email saying, thank you for the endorsement. I said, well, endorse me back, darn it. So we need to find our LinkedIn pages there. And so I'm glad you're joining the family, Corey, and I'm excited about you and I'm excited about all these great questions. And look at all these powerful people we have in the room. Hi, Corey, how are you? It's good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
No, I'm glad you're here. I just want to recognize some people who've had to share the journey that I've had of being on the board of directors and holding some of the regional director positions in LA at NABJ. And so I want to say hello to Dawn Roberts, first of all. She had my job a long time ago. We used to partner. Welcome, Dawn. give us a shout out. You'll have to unmute, Don. I can't do it. What beach are you on, by the way?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, right. I'm not sure which beach this is, but I love it.
Yeah, it's a great beach. I'd like to be on one right now. I'd also like to recognize Benet Wilson. Benet, your drink is almost empty. So Benet also served on the board as well. Give us a shout out, Benet.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, that's that wine talking. I can see.
No, can I just say one quick thing? I so co-sign what Corey said. I've been mentoring people for decades, and I have my own mentors, even at my advanced age. So Corey, shout out to you, seriously.
All right, thank you. And I also want to recognize another regional director, board member person too, has done a fantastic job. We partnered a lot with my sister CEO, Small Business Camp, and she has a great magazine, Shades of Color. Let's give her a shout out, and let's hear from Michelle Fitzhugh-Craig.
Hey again. I'm here. Yeah, I unmuted. Yeah. Shades celebrating all women of color. You always say shades of color.
Oh yeah, well,
you got the I know
it's personal.
Yes. Visit us at shadesmagazine.com. Put a little plug in there.
There you go.
But yeah, thank you.
All right, and welcome, Maria. I know you're one of the people who work with a lot of churches that I do like too. So we hope you're learning something here while you're in.
Hi, yes, I am. Thank you so much.
All right, we're gonna have this rebroadcast too, so people can go back. I do appreciate you guys could doing some greater things on your Sundays, and you chose to be here. I just want to go to our next presenter because I think these are so good for us to come to Sunday. This is almost like, I am a 98% extrovert. So being inside has been torture for me. There's been some mental challenges. And so one of the people I love when we interact and we're on stage together, we also do workshops together and we're working with clients. And that's Zakia Larry. She's known as an elevation strategist. It means she elevates brands, moods, and influence through media coaching, speaking, and strategic public relations. But I've seen her work. I've seen it on O Magazine, Black Enterprise. I've seen it at the MegaFest. I've seen a lot of work, but one of the things that I thought was most profound when we start talking to people about branding and launching and finding opportunity as a PR practitioner in this pandemic. And right now there's so much opportunity because our what is perceived to be our leadership is giving miscommunications, and they're waffling, and they're just confusing people to the point we got people in Michigan protesting and under one guise as another. That's me and my personal opinion. So, I'd like to say that Zakia is CEO of Quest Media Trading, and she provides people to prepare for interviews, prepare for strategic messaging, crisis communications. Zakia also, and a lot of you did too, so I want to thank you. When early on, I got with a bunch of ministers, and we realized that Blacks would have some health disparities with COVID-19, and we realized before it became media that there was a problem. So Zakia and her organization and a lot of the churches and a lot of the people who were responsible for us spreading the word with our new hashtag that we must survive COVID-19. And we started a campaign just in the African American community. And I'm happy to celebrate to say that it has appeared in 14 countries, 200 newspapers, 3 TV stations. We've had a run on CNN. We've had a run on ABC, NBC. The first splash we had was on Fox News. And they said we had this campaign to teach African Americans that we got more to suffer from. And I appreciate Zakia for being part of that strategy. And we must also continue that hashtag. And since you've all registered, you're going to get my email so we can make sure that our seniors, our frontline workers, people of color, women, all of these people are so impacted by this COVID-19. And we must teach people that survival is meaning that you do physical distancing is important. Masks are important, and that we must make the steps to go out. Now, you know my motto, and each one of the speakers is getting this T-shirt, and you guys will have access to that T-shirt too. But my T-shirt that I send to everybody that speaks, it says, social distancing does not mean social disengagement, nor does it mean social disrespect. And so, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my greatest mentor and greatest friend, Zakia.
Wow. Thank you to my great friend. And thank you for your vision, Terry, and for this opportunity. It is quite intimidating to speak with so many incredible giants who are colleagues, but everyone on this call are just giants in their industry, in their field. And so if I say something that y'all don't agree with, let me know, because you are all my virtual mentors as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I love that this is very casual and that we can engage. And so I brought in a different screen so that I could look at questions and any sort of comments, because I'd love to share a few tips and techniques for being a publicist and a strategic communicator during a crisis. And some people, I've talked to colleagues in our industry, and some people are struggling, and I understand that. And then there are others who have what they consider almost too much work, completely overwhelmed. And so I think that I would much rather my cup runneth over and I figure out how to find the paper towels to sop it up than to be looking for something to pour into my cup. And so I think that there are a couple of ways, and I'll share what I've done to remain profitable during a crisis. I'll break it into two different pillars right now. I will talk about what can be done with clients that have disengaged because of COVID-19, but then also I'd like to speak to what can be done when you have a client and you want to make sure that they stay your client. So I'll approach those two, and then of course happy to take any questions. So a client who has disengaged, what I've done is I decided to cast a wide net. When I saw COVID-19 was starting to roll out, when I started to hear the buzz that maybe states are considering closing down, so this was early on, I reached out to past clients and just did a pulse check. One, I always think that you should always serve before you sell. And so depending on the level of my client, what I already know about them, using the expertise that we already have, the ability to see further down the road, anticipate, and meet our client at the end of that road before it's time to get there, I would employ that when I reached out. So for instance, there was a brand that, well, this is too easy because they had a conference, but I'll just use this as an example. There's a brand that had a conference in person coming up. There was no shutdown in their city, not quite reaching the shores of what they do. But I reached out and said, hi, I saw a recent news story about gatherings being limited to X number of people. I think there was consideration of ticking it down. And I said, before it reaches your state in your city, have there been considerations on a contingency plan? I just wanted to share this article with you about it and to let you know that creating contingency plans is something that I do. I would love to set up a call and discuss creating a contingency plan for you, something that you can easily implement in-house should you choose. And so I didn't pitch them for me to come back on and be their full-time agency of record. I pitched them, let me come in, provide a parachute for you, and you can open it yourself if you want. Because I know the strategy for me is, one, serve before you sell. So that's why I sent them an article as a heads up. And then two, I understand that when people are starting to face uncertainty, it's difficult to process a lot of information at one time. So that's why I only pitched something that was modular, because I knew on the back end from a business perspective, I can always upsell. And this may sound a little too businessy and maybe the heartfelt piece isn't in it, but I mean, let's just have the conversation, folks. We got bills. So I always pad in a way for me to upsell. I guess that's the way to put it, because I do understand that in a crisis, once I'm able to get in the door and create that plan, the next question is going to be, well, after they think they can do it, and we crisis or not, we experience this with clients in public relations. They're like, oh, that's easy until it's not, and then they need us again. But I do understand that that's an opportunity for upsell. So once I create the plan, I then say, by the way, I'm happy to send over 3 tiers of engagement. Tier 1, you can feel free to, I'll develop the plan and I'm here if you have any questions. Tier 2, I can consult with your team member who's executing it. Tier 3, I and my team can do a full scale execution of this plan. And so one, it gives them options. And I've noticed that they've been a lot more calm in crisis because they feel like they have power. They feel like they can still make a decision. But I have crafted these decisions behind the scenes with what I know would work for my business and the people that I work with. So that's with clients that are not currently active. I find a headline, I give them a heads up, connect them to it. So reverse pitching. I'm not pitching a producer, I'm re-pitching my coming back into their lives. But that's one of the ways that I did it. And I found that that has been really helpful, creating a contingency plan. And then the second pillar with the clients that are already engaged, and I was experiencing a lot of anxiety because people are looking to cut back when it comes to expenditures, and I am self-employed. And so that was a very big concern of mine. I have other people relying on me as well to get paid. And so clients that are currently active, I did the exact same technique. I really made sure to step into my leadership, and rather than pushing their brand forward and continuing to talk about whatever the current campaign is, I stayed up a little longer at night. I got up a little earlier, and I created a skeletal approach to help buffer them throughout the crisis based on what I saw coming, and then added in that I would be willing to walk with them through that to help with any pivots. So this was exceptionally helpful with brands that would have to close their doors and didn't know how to go virtual, did not know how to communicate virtually. So I ended up elevating skill sets that were very normal to me, but I realized it was a new normal for other people. Because being self-employed for a number of years, I've worked virtually for more than 10 years anyway. So I didn't realize that what was organic to me was a new skill set for someone else. And so with these clients that I'm used to going to meetings with, I would just, if you looked at it as a ranked list, I then moved my skill set of being able to work virtually, and I moved that skill set of being able to manage a team virtually, and I literally sold that as a product. Of course, I didn't call it a product when I'm speaking to them, but I sold that. So I was saying, hey guys, it looks like we're gonna have to shut down. I know people are concerned about expenditures, and maybe launching this campaign isn't, you're considering not launching this campaign right now because it may get cannibalized by the headlines. Great, I get it. Question, have you considered how you want to bounce back should you have to go dormant a bit for a few weeks or a few months? I ask it as a question because the answer is always going to be no. I think that when people are under duress, if you tell them what to do, immediately walls go up. And so I use that sort of journalism technique coming from the newsroom, and I would ask, hey, because in my mind, it's chess, right? I've already considered that you're cutting PR and marketing first. I've already considered that you're afraid to spend money. I've done all of this before I even speak to the client. And so my entire goal is to convince them, for the lack of a better term, not to get rid of me. And so I elevate and sell a different skill set while also giving them the warm cozy that you got somebody that's going to still be here. You don't know if that launch is still going to be here. You don't know if that product is still going to be here. You don't know if that lease on your building is still going to be here, but make an investment in making sure your brand is still going to be here. So those are two things that I've done. It took some groundwork, I have to be honest, and it took a bit of grit, but it has worked. It has worked very well. And I've also started to get referrals from other people because now they say, hey, so I know someone who needs a plan, or I know someone who has questions. And so now I've moved more into that consulting space as well. So those are some key tips. Are there any thoughts or questions right now? Has anyone employed these similar techniques and found that it works?
Hey, I have a question for you right now,
Yes.
Zakia. I think one of the biggest challenges we were called on to do is to try to teach clients, to convince them. Like once before I said, bringing churches on board and them not using the principles of religion and God as a reason to continue to meet because they're protected by faith from the pandemic. But how did you find and how do you pitch a revenue opportunity for you to maintain a client's presence? How do you approach them how do you find these clients? What gives us value saying that as a PR practitioner, I'm going to be able to keep you afloat. You're not going to tank because you don't have people placement. You now have virtual placement. How do you find these customers and what are the opportunities have you found during this pandemic?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I found opportunities in those customers with people who are used to bread and butter being in person. So some great audiences would be, I'll start with individuals because I know we have some people on the call who do consulting. And so you may work with authors or you may work with a high level brand. So, well, no, a personal brand, I'll say it that way. So what I did is I started to target very well-established motivational speakers, well-established authors, people who in and of themselves are a brand and who need to speak on a stage, who often need to be inside of a new studio. And so what I would do is I would address their pain point first, especially with people who do a lot of in-person speaking, who do presentations live with audiences. That's how they thrive. That's all they've ever known. And so I would address the pain point that I do understand that you won't be traveling anymore. You won't be able to do these large conferences. I understand a lot of those have been canceled. Do you have a contingency plan to keep your brand going, especially in the virtual space? And then they'll say, yeah, social media, but I don't really know what to do with that. Here's the positioning. I don't ever position myself as a social media expert. I position myself as a brand sustaining, brand elevation expert who may use social media as a technique if it applies, because that broadens my scope. And I think that when you're speaking to one of those clients, that gets them more interested because you're able to talk about the before, during, and after, or the now and later of what you can do for their brand. So how do I find those folks? A lot of them I've worked with before. I've had them in my Rolodex already. Very grateful for that. But I would say LinkedIn and social media are incredible tools. I recently made a huge contact with the CEO of IKEA by using these exact same techniques. They have a high-powered communications team. They have everything they could possibly need. But what I do understand is crisis and elevation, and I combined those two, and I would reach out with what I can help solve while their internal team is keeping the business afloat. That's what's important for us to realize right now, because a lot of folks, and I don't know if you've experienced this, task force family, but when pitching to large organizations, sometimes one of the walls is, oh, well, we have a communications team, so we don't really need that. But in a case like this, in a crisis, it's worthy to note and actually articulate that you have a phenomenal communications team. And I'm sure right now, all of their focus is on how to maintain your current customers and how to even pivot your current day-to-day. Who do you have that's able to be engaged enough with that so that they're educated, but detached enough to do the forecasting and the forward thinking and the strategic planning for after? And a lot of people don't have an answer to that. So that's a great positioning too, reaching out to LinkedIn, to mid-sized companies and pitching yourself as that umbrella who is going to lay the bricks for the foundation once they come up for air after just trying to exist and shift their teams.
So can I ask you, are you saying, and one thing, I hear you saying that a lot of your clients were clients you already had, you're just preparing them for this new world. And but I hear you saying that you are able to go in and tell them that I'm an expert in virtual environment, I'm an expert in crisis management, you guys don't have a crisis plan, let me be the go-to person for this? Is that opening doors for you?
That is opening doors. I'm careful with how I word that. I definitely have said, I first ask, do you have a crisis plan? How is that? Because often larger organizations already have that in place. But yes, I do lead with, I am a crisis management expert. But what I also lead with is that I understand news headlines and moving people to action. And I understand that you're busy and you don't have time to think about those three things because you're pivoting. Let me manage that part until your team comes up for air. And so I pitch myself as a collaborator with their current team. But what has worked is I'm acknowledging the pain points that their team is completely overwhelmed. And so I pitch myself as the person who can take something off of their desk until they're able to return. And so that has gotten some traction as well.
Hey, this is some great. This is we're getting better and better as we do this every Sunday. So thank you so much. Does anybody have a question before Zakia? I have two more, but I wanted to see if anybody else had a question.
I see Coria Holland. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry. Okay. Works in state government. Coria. Okay. One of her responsibilities is to conduct media relations trainings. During this COVID-19 crisis, I've been thinking about replacing these twice quarterly in-person trainings to a monthly Zoom training. Has anyone done media relations Zoom trainings? Is there an ideal length of time for a Zoom training? Have you used any other platforms that work for you? May I please touch on that one first? This is the best question in the world. The name of my company is Quest Media Training. That's where it started. Oh my gosh. This is prime time to reveal this.
There you go. There you go.
Gloria, yes. This is the best question I've ever seen in my life. So, media relations training, that is the core of what I do, and my model has mostly been virtual. There was a time when it was 50-50, but to your question, twice quarterly in person to monthly Zoom. I do Zoom, and I pitch it differently because how do I say this? I'm so excited. So one of the things I say is, let's continue our media coaching. Let's continue these trainings. And the benefit is when you use Zoom, we're fast tracking parts of our training. Typically in module 3, we would get to on-camera performance, but let's go ahead and fast track because I want to give you additional value. Let's do our media training via Zoom. And before each Zoom call, I'll give you a couple of on-camera training tips. When we meet, you'll talk about sound bites and whatever their talking points are for that day. And then you can end with an on-camera technique and say, this exercise you just did with delivering your new key messages, let's combine a few tips because we're on camera. I want you to look in the direction that we've learned. I'm not going to give it away. I want you to now put it all together. Look in that direction, use your talking points, and think about your body language and make it an exercise. And so now my clients expect a Zoom training and they say, are you going to send me the link and are you going to look at it and then give me notes after? So I've literally made Zoom training part of the curriculum. And so my clients respond in that way. So I would encourage you to continue to most certainly do it. Ideal length of time for Zoom, I subscribe, so I keep my calls to an hour. And my hour includes ramp up, the training itself, and exercise, and closing it. But what I've also found is attention spans are a lot shorter when people are looking at a screen. So my goal is 40 minutes for everything top to bottom. And if the client happens to be very engaged that day, then I'll let it run and do their question and answers, and we'll talk a bit until that hour. But just for attention span's sake, I've now taken it down to 40 minutes, and I position it also as added value that you still get your hour, but I do know staring at a little screen is difficult. So our sessions are now 40 minutes so that we can fast track you, combine a few skills. If you would like to continue for the full hour, we're going to leave time at the end for Q&A. And my client, I've literally had, I had a real estate professional physically react to that. He said, oh my gosh, thank you, because I am so stressed and drained with these cameras and staring at a screen in these Zoom calls. And so it's positioning. So I've also used Skype before, but I have been using Zoom and recording to the cloud.
Thank you. That was a great response. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for that question. Sheridan. Oh yeah, Sheridan has a phenomenal point. Yes.
That's great, you guys. And you can see in the chat that Sheridan has placed some stuff in there, because one thing I want to say about Sheridan Bradley, she was in the virtual space for 20 years when we were running around trying to do things live.
Figuring it out.
See, yeah, she's back when we were doing video conferencing. Sheridan had it down. She was the expert in the field. So what's good about this is that we're amongst giants and experts in the industry, and we're here to share. And so we got some great takeaways from both of our presenters that have stopped by. Brilliant tips: serve before you sell need for contingency plans, and ask the questions that people are afraid to ask because they don't want you to know they don't have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think when it comes to the virtual space, some of my takeaways is to make sure you know you're engaging with people who don't know they don't know.
Right.
And sometimes you have to present something to them as an opportunity. Then they will never admit they didn't know that, but they'll jump on board. And it's about creating revenue and sustaining our clients. Big example was I had with early on in about 10 years ago. I had to deal with a client, and Dr. Phil, I can say that now. He was trying to penetrate the Black church and talk with Black grandmothers. So because I was working with all these authors, he went to a Black's bookstore. The ladies picked me up on the phone call. I met with the person. Didn't know he was Dr. Phil. He never revealed who he was. I just knew he looked familiar. And so when we finished with him, one of the things I told them is that you don't assume who your clients are. You don't assume, you don't become the expert for your clients. Why don't you go in and ask them the question? And in our community, you've got people who love to be called Black, love to be called African American. You can say people of color, can't say colored people. So if you've got to ask your audience what they want to tell you and where you want to go. And that's one of the things that we learned from here. One of the other takeaways we got from Corey was that we all have to develop, like all you are for me, our own personal board of directors. And it's important that we do have personal board of directors because they can open doors, they can advise, just as Zakia talks about the strategic message. What are you going to say? How are you going to say it? And how, one of the things we had to do in COVID-19 was convince portions of the African American community that this is not a myth, this is not a target to us, and that Black people don't get coronavirus. Thank you, Edris Ilba, my twin brother, for proving that was wrong. But so we have to deal with these messages, and it's very difficult. But I couldn't do all this without all of those people in this room and hundreds of other people. So I appreciate you guys for being part of this. I appreciate you for being here, and everybody. Jackie Murphy and I presented a basic tips on writing PR messages for CEOs just recently here at Paul Quinn College. Nice. And it was just, we had to teach people how to create the messages so that we could turn them over to Zakia. So when they create the message, they know how to stand, they know when not to stutter, they know when to eye the audience and when to turn away. That whole strategic stance that you take from a message that we would have to write. So, it's very difficult to be on this presentation and look in the room and see all these people who do fantastic jobs at what you're doing, but there are a whole lot of other of our members who are reaching for us to reach out and talk during this time. I can say this from my corporate background, my corporate experience with FedEx and my corporate experience with Whole Foods. The pandemic is also profitable, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's very profitable. Just coming up with alternatives. I can see a pitch now. I could go to the sports community and pitch them right now and say, this is how we're going to do this. I don't know if they'll follow the plan, but I bet they will have an appointment with me because they are scrambling to see how their revenue is going to play out. Larry, you can speak more about what's happening in the sports industry, but that's an upheaval going on at the same time. Just getting messages. But going back to my former client, Dr. Phil, he just recently said that we should open up businesses because it's going to be crazy. So my whole thing is, and I'm going to get on my stance, but if you test everybody, we'd be okay. You test the world, follow the model that happened in California. Shout out to my California partners here. Follow the model that happened in South Korea. We do the testing, we do the contact tracing, and yeah, we can open up business. But Larry, I don't know, the sports industry is in running around and trying to create opportunities. What's going on in the sports industry right now?
Well, first of all, Terry, thanks for pulling this together. And Corey and Zakia, my hat's off to you, because a lot of times we don't have our experts sharing, and there's enough for everybody out there. So really appreciate those tips and sharing with everybody else. There's enough for everybody. So thank you. On the sports industry, I think it depends on your organization. I mean, the NFL is not missing a beat. The draft is this week. We're going virtual. If you flip the script and you can go virtual, WNBA draft, who saw that last night? They had a captured audience. So those who are able to pivot, like Zakia said, and Corey said, in terms of manage their teams. Now, obviously, you can't have live events. That's just something, yeah, but you have to now turn your business platform online. And you had mentioned TikTok earlier, and no, Terry, I'm not posting any TikTok videos, but your clients are on there. So if I see a client doing a uptown, he's got a gunshot in there, NFL player gunshot doesn't go together. So we got to pivot and donate to Meharry Medical School or do something different. So you have to be really aligned with the sport and really be patient. And I don't know what ideas you might have, but they may be listening. But right now they're still selling tickets, they're selling suites, and they're trying to like get you ready for when it comes back. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I appreciate sharing, Larry. And I do want to tell people, sometimes when we have our clients are driven by the revenue that's created from their events and from their people engagement, that's just this quarter. We've got third and fourth quarter money out there that you could be pitching for now, because at some point there is going to be a return to normal. I can say this clearly, and all of you can pitch in, but it's not going to be business as usual anymore, ever, period. COVID-19, pandemic, social distancing has created a new game plan. Now, some things are going to come back. The restaurants may even have seats further apart than they had before. But this is a permanent game changer, and we've got to be able to pivot and get our process in right now. And one of the things I want to close with, and we're right at our hour, and I want to say thank you guys for giving up your Sundays to create this, because as this becomes recorded, it's going to be a tool to reuse and reuse and reuse. And it's so good to see such a vast representation across this country. But one of the things that I do know is that I want you to take these takeaways. I need an email. I'm putting my email address in there. I need an email telling me about the value of this, because this is something I took on personally, and I want to make sure we keep going. I don't know if Valerie's in the room. Valerie, are you here? Next week, we're going to be focusing on self-care. Now, I just told you guys I'm a 98% extrovert. So I can't look out the window and be calm. This has created an additional new stress for me. Most of my clients are people engaged clients, and I've been able to do that. But Valerie, are you there? We're going to be working on self-care. So I brought in the social workers and the communication people in the social work field. And we're going to be talking about self-care and how we manage that for next Sunday. And I do want to see more drinks in the house, just not me, Benet, and Sheridan getting all tipsy in here. Of course, this is apple juice. So Valerie, you say a few minutes.
Hi, Terry. Hi, NABJers. It's wonderful to be here. This has been an outstanding Sunday gathering. So I appreciate that so much. But yes, you're right. So next week, we will be coming to you from the University of Texas at Arlington. Several of our social workers who are busy engaging with our broader community on dealing with the social anxiety associated with being at home, working at home, and staying healthy.
I thank you, Valerie. Valerie is, and I have a long-term relationship, as I do with most of you here, but she's a communications expert. We served with the local NABG chapter in Dallas and back in those years. And so we had a great time, and it was good. We ran into each other on LinkedIn, actually. And I said, girl, where you been? And I told her, she asked you how you doing? I said, I am stressed out. I want to go outside and hug people. And so we got to talking. I didn't know she was tied to the social workers, and she sent me a couple of bios over, and I engaged with those people, and they got some great stories to tell us. So that's what we will be doing next Sunday. So we're going to have this virtual happy hour from here on. So here's some takeaway. Don't forget your takeaways. Don't forget to send me an email. Don't forget to send me thinking in what you can do, because Zakia's here forever. Corey's here forever. Jackie, Kim, Ron, Don, Manny, Pam, Karen, Maria, Kayla. Oh yeah, that's right. Kayla, we didn't catch you in the beginning. Say hello to us. Oh, you're jamming, aren't you, Kayla? Okay then. We're gonna mute that, Kayla. All right, and so the things I need you to do at this point, Tony manages our LinkedIn page. He has put some great posts there. We're also putting jobs up there as well. Also project opportunities, and Tony's the one that manages that. So the more you send to me, the more you go to the page and join the page, that LinkedIn page. I need you to also repost what you're doing. One of the things I think is really hot is that what I got 16 emails about just this morning. Now that masks in our city, masks are mandatory. You get a $1,000 fine if you don't have one on. And so now they're asking us to find practitioners who can put mask messages on. They're getting custom masks made. And so I connected them to 2 other practitioners to say, I'd love to have this project, but I'm overwhelmed. Can you help them with their messaging, their fabric colors, their choices, and let them know that there are certain colors that are not mood enhancers or mood droppers, and when they start making their mask. And so there's so much on there. So if you're looking for the LinkedIn page, it's called Media Related Member. I kept it simple, right, Tony? Is there another name, Tony, you want to follow up on this one, Tony? Tell us.
No, not at all. I think you covered it all, Terry. We just want to be able to make sure that people sign up and follow the page.
All right, thank you. And the other thing is, I get a lot of emails asking me, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about that? Then I turn around and say, who I got working on that? Nobody. So you guys are experts, can do things quite quickly and quite efficiently and in a quite simple process. And so you're going to get an email like everyone else. You get an update because I have to answer to the issues. And Tony is going to email you, but we had some major glitches when we were trying to move forward with our election bid. We had some major glitches when we were trying to find ways to help our PR practitioners, teaching you how to pitch for new contracts. I get emails every day saying, I need people for this, I need people for that. And I asked them we put together a pitch format, Tony and I did, so that when someone pitches, we're going to send it out to all of y'all, and y'all can just chime in and say, I got that, I'll take that project. One of the most key factors that we have is like with Kim Bardakian, who is a supreme expert in protocol and process. I got her email saying, why does your flyer doesn't say East Coast time? Because I'm just biased. I'm in Central Standard Time. They need to recognize that's
not every. You got to do East Coast, like Eastern Standard Time. Not everyone knows. Am I 2 hours from you? 3 hours? Like it's just standard. So when you put Central Time, I have to like Google. Wait, all right, right now I'm 2 hours. Just put, like on the TV stations, they put Eastern Time. That's just my little tip, but.
It was a great tip, Kim. I meant it as a joke, but she was extremely right. But at this point, big at one-man operation, I knew I needed to be 5:30 Central Standard Time, and I was.
Kim,
go ahead, Tony.
I'm just sorry, Kim. You're absolutely right. When I recraft the message, I'm putting Eastern, Central, and Pacific Daylight Time on the messaging, because what happens is when he sends a messaging for this meeting, it comes in at 5:30, and it's like, well, is it 5:30 our time? It's 4:30 his time. So I'm just gonna put it to where it's just, everybody knows what time it is in their respective time zone.
Kim, don't be affirming him.
That's what I thought.
When there are settings for individual settings, which Zoom takes care of the time zone depending upon what time your alert
we got in the Zoom portion, it's all got the time zones. This was the flyer. This is the flyer we're talking about. So Zoom can't touch my flyer, so it's all good. So anyway, thank you guys. I want to go ahead and share a screen with you right quick to show you with the t-shirt that everyone's getting so you can see it. I wanted to get your feedback on it. Let me share that screen before we close out. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, so I want to say this is the T-shirt that my speakers are getting. Thank them so much, and all of you also have access to that T-shirt. I will be sending it out before, but I do think that it's important that we get your engagement. You guys are awesome. We're all overwhelmed, and when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. And I need us to be united. Look for the email that's going to be coming from Tony. Look for the post that's going to be coming from me. Our communications committee is headed by Ron Carter, and we're going to develop some messages for that. We are mentoring. We have several mentors in this room who have chosen a mentor. So the two things I think I want you to take action on right now is to send me feedback to my email on this, the value of these happy hours. And next week, please have your drinks ready, okay? And also, please go to the LinkedIn page and post a statement on there. Well, we do need to get that email on the value of this, and let's connect each other. I need to be connected to Corey on LinkedIn, because if I get an opportunity for her, I want to just hit it to her in her inbox. I need to be connected to Mr. Clark, because you know, I figured there's going to be some great deals on Lexuses this year, especially the 2020 models. So I'm just kidding. But there's going to be opportunity for all of us there. It's good to see everyone on this thing, and I don't want to take it longer than I have. This has been a very engaging Sunday today, and we have built up quite a momentum. And so thank you all. And I can say this to y'all because it's very emotional for me. So we're going to need Valerie and her social workers next week, because this is very emotional for me to be in my home for such a long period of time and not joining Kim in Vegas for a workshop, and not going to the mall with Jackie to film a video for someone. All right. And then me not being able to take some of the cartoonish ideas that Manny has and taking them over to my graphic designer and sending them back to him for his cartoon. It's quite a change, people. And I'm emotional because I'm happy to see you guys. But, you know, I've had a lot. You see my emails, and I like to be transparent. You got emails, you email me, you say, hey, thanks, I'm recovering from surgery. This is the first week I could sit up from emergency surgery that I didn't want to have, because I didn't want to be in the hospital where there was the prevalence of a lot of people being treated for the virus. And so we survived that. And I'm glad to be sitting up, but it's because of the energy of all you great people. And Don, are we going to have a run this year? She says, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to close this. Thank you all. God bless every one of you. And I meant this from the bottom of my heart. Thanks each of you for living during my lifetime. I have had a great opportunity because all of you have been around me for years. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Don't forget, drinks next week now.
Thank you for inviting me, Terry. See you, everyone.
All right, I'll give you a call in a second, Corey.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I love your drink, Don. That's a good drink. I love it. Bye.
Bye, Terry.
I look forward to everybody's email right now.